This story about the California fire captain Rebecca Marodi, who was found murdered inside of her home, is already taking some crazy twists and turns. For the first couple of days after her body was discovered, law enforcement and investigators claimed that they had no idea who did this. But if you listened to them closely, they kept floating out ideas. Like, this must be DV. Whoever did this to Rebecca must have been someone close to her. But they said they did not have a suspect. Well, of course, the people online, the internet is going to do what it does. People were spreading theories. A lot of people were blaming Trump. Some people were saying it was someone getting revenge because of the California fires. But it turns out investigators named the suspect, and the suspect is no other than Rebecca Marodi's wife, Yolanda Marodi. But here's the kicker. No one knows where the hell Yolanda is. And when I put out videos about this topic yesterday, I figured that by the time I sat down to record videos today, that they would have already have found Yolanda. But they haven't. She is still on the run. Some people are speculating that she already made it to Mexico. I don't know how true that is, but I would assume that's probably where she's going to try to go to escape to. But there was an interesting piece of information that came out once Yolanda was named as the suspect. You see, it turns out that Yolanda has killed before. But we didn't know the full details of that case. We didn't know who she killed or what really happened there. Well, now we know. It turns out that Yolanda murdered her husband back in the day. Over 20 years ago, Yolanda murdered her husband, and now she's accused of murdering her wife. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who would marry someone that literally just got out of jail for killing their husband? Who would marry someone like that? Well, a lot of people. You guys should go watch a show called Love After Lockup. Listen, there are so many people here in America that purposely go after criminals. They purposely go after people in prison. They purposely start relationships with people in prison. And, you know, when it comes to Yolanda and Rebecca Marodi, I feel bad because now Rebecca's no longer with us. And I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. Rebecca should have known better. You don't go marry someone who murdered their spouse. Now, I can already imagine how this went. Yolanda painted herself out to be the victim, that her husband was big and bad and was hurting her, and she was just defending herself. It's always the same story, and sometimes it's true, but in some cases, no, you're just dealing with a crazy woman. And Rebecca Marodi was dealing with a crazy woman who she no longer has to deal with because that crazy woman, it appears, murdered her. Now, I have a soft spot in my heart for Rebecca because I feel like I too suffer from, you know, maybe not shying away from crazy women, okay? These crazy Latinas, listen, they will be the death of you, literally. And Rebecca found that out the hard way. And I'm hoping I don't find that out the hard way one day. But all jokes aside, let's go ahead and dive into this information because this is shocking. The wife of a veteran California fire captain who was stabbed to death in her home has been identified as her suspected killer, while it was also revealed that she served prison time for fatally stabbing her husband in the year 2000. So, back when all of us were worried about Y2K, right? In the year 2000, I'm like 9 or 10 years old. I'm worried about Y2K. I think it's going to be the end of the world. Well, Yolanda's out here stabbing her husband 25 years ago. When we're all worried about Y2K, Yolanda was worried about her husband. She stabs him to death. She goes to jail for a few years, gets out, and marries the fire captain of California, of San Diego, I believe. But let's go forward. Yolanda Marodi, age 53, is wanted in connection with the death of Rebecca Beck Marodi, the San Diego Sheriff's Office said on Thursday. The suspect, who also goes by Yolanda Olechnik, and the victim had been married for just over 2 years. The 49-year-old veteran firefighter was found with multiple stab wounds at her home in Ramona, northeast of San Diego, just before 9 p.m. on Monday. She was identified by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection on Tuesday. Marodi, Yolanda Marodi, was sentenced to 11 years in prison in 2004 after pleading guilty to voluntary manslaughter for fatally stabbing her then-husband, James Olenchnik, in his Fontana home in October 2000. The couple had 2 kids, a son and a daughter. Both were infants at the time of their father's death. The suspect served a sentence of 13 years and 8 months in prison, according to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. The use of drugs and alcohol accounted for the additional time, the department said. Detectives are investigating potential motivations, and the suspect's whereabouts is currently unknown, the sheriff's office said. However, sources say that Marodi has fled to Mexico. Now, I'm wondering if she's going to have trouble getting into Mexico, because we know that security at the southern border is a little bit tighter than it's been over the past few years. But I've seen video of people who were just recently deported sneaking right back into America. So I'm not saying that it's going to be impossible for Yolanda to get to Mexico. I'm just saying that it's going to be harder for her to do that now, as opposed to if she tried this, let's say, 6 months ago, a year ago. But right now, they do not know where this woman is. And finally, the story is starting to get a little bit of news coverage, but it's still not really catching on in the way that you think this story would catch on. And I think it's because of, well, I think it's because this is a lesbian couple, and it goes against a lot of the narratives that they want to paint and put out there in the media. But I want to show you a clip from local media really quickly, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
Juan Fernandez, we start tonight with developing news. Deputies on the hunt for the woman accused of stabbing an Inland Empire fire captain to death.
Well, KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers has been working this story from the desk, and in fact, you've been working it for the last few days, Mike. Yeah. You've learned the suspect has already served time for a death back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, you know, Pat and Juan, this story has certainly taken a wild turn. The suspect in this case is that fire captain's wife, and I've learned through court documents that in the year 2000, she was convicted of killing her then-husband in San Bernardino County. Prosecutors accused her of using a knife to kill her husband back in 2000. They originally charged her with premeditated murder. She would later plea that down to voluntary manslaughter, served 9 years in state prison before being released to parole. Now she is a suspect in the murder of the fire captain from San Bernardino and Riverside counties. This is the suspect's photo from back when she was in CDCR's custody. Her name is Yolanda Mercedes Olnejczak. Right now, she is outstanding. San Diego Sheriff's deputies don't know where she is. We'll show you some video here of the fire captain that she is accused of killing. This is Fire Captain Becky Marodi. Becky Marodi was in the fire service for 30 years in the Inland Empire, both in San Bernardino and Riverside counties, most recently working at the French Valley Fire Station. San Diego Sheriff's detectives responded to her home in the Ramona area of San Diego County earlier this week on a reported person down. When they got there, they found the captain suffering from multiple stab wounds. She was ultimately determined to be dead, her body taken to the coroner's office in a procession style from her home. Now San Diego Sheriff's detectives are looking for her wife, who they accuse of being involved in the murder. And again, in a very bizarre set of circumstances, she has already been convicted of killing her then-husband back in the year 2000, serving 9 years in prison. Tonight, San Diego Sheriff's detectives are looking for her in connection with her wife's murder. Okay?
Now, a lot of people are asking, well, what's the motive here? Why would Yolanda do something like this? Why? Because of jealousy. It's kind of obvious. And let's not forget that Yolanda did this before. Listen, it takes a special kind of person to deal with some of these crazy women out here, especially these crazy Latinas. All right? This fire captain, she thought she could handle Yolanda. She couldn't. Okay? Even Yolanda's ex-husband from 25 years ago couldn't handle her. So now 2 of Yolanda's lovers are dead, right? And the sad part is Yolanda probably won't have trouble getting another lover. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if she's already laid up with someone else right now who is hiding her from law enforcement. Because that's how these type of women operate. They're extremely jealous. They're violent. They're angry. But also, they're usually guilty of the same things that they're jealous of. So you could look at this from every angle. You could boil it down to, I guarantee you, this woman was angry that Rebecca was maybe showing attention or talking to someone else. And this woman just went off the chain, flipped her freaking lid, went crazy, and killed her. And it's something that she's already done before. And I would argue that maybe, just maybe, she should have been locked up a little bit longer. Because you let this woman back on the streets. She obviously hasn't learned any lessons. There's been no rehabilitation. Because just a couple of years later, here she is killing another significant other. Now, Rebecca Marodi's ex-wife actually spoke out and confirmed my suspicions that yes, indeed, Yolanda is a very crazy, controlling, jealous woman. Rebecca Marodi's ex-wife, Lilia Fledger, says that her relationship, or that Rebecca's relationship with the suspect was a typical toxic relationship. She says that Yolanda was very jealous. She says that her understanding is that she was very jealous and did not want to have Becky maintain the friendships she had for years with other women. So Rebecca Becky, she was popular amongst the women, okay? She had her a couple little side things. She had a couple little, you know how it goes. She kept in touch with her exes, okay? She maintained a somewhat of a healthy relationship with some of the women that she dated in the past. She had a healthy friendship and relationship with various women, and Yolanda could not stand that. Yolanda wanted to be the only woman in Rebecca's life. And because she wasn't, Yolanda decided, hey, well, if I'm not going to be the only woman in your life, well, guess what? You're not going to have a life left to live. So Yolanda decided to go into Rebecca's home and stab her to death. Now, we know from the authorities, we don't know much about the crime scene, but we know there was a struggle. We know there was a fight. Rebecca fought for her life as her wife was brutally going crazy on her. And now this crazy woman is out there on the run somewhere. But as I was mentioning, I know how women like Yolanda are. And I know there's a lot of speculation out there that Yolanda has escaped to Mexico. And I do think that is likely. But I think the other likely scenario is that Yolanda already has another lover. People like Yolanda, listen, these crazy women, they have no problem picking up men, and I guess women as well, okay? Yolanda is most likely, I'll boil it down like this. One of two things. Either Yolanda, and listen, she had a good head start, okay? Because we're talking about this on Friday. Rebecca was found on Monday. So either Yolanda has already hightailed it to the southern border. She's trying to get in Mexico. She's already in Mexico. Or Yolanda is with someone else who is hiding her. Yolanda is laid up with someone else not too far away. That's my theory. Either she hightailed it to Mexico, maybe she was successful in crossing the border or not, or Yolanda is not that far away at all, laid up with someone else who is hiding her at the moment. I believe that more often than not, when people like Yolanda make the decision to end their significant other, they already have someone else in their back pocket. People like Yolanda, they don't want to be alone. They need to be under someone. They need to have someone, because it's not about the other person. It's about Yolanda. You know what I mean? People like Yolanda, they can't be single. They can't be alone. They have to be up under someone, regardless if it's a man or if it's a woman or what it is. They got to be up under someone. So when someone like Yolanda makes the decision to no longer be up under someone, it's because Yolanda already has plans to be up under someone else. That's the way I look at this. So in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if Yolanda is with someone else right now, maybe not even too far away from here, doing Lord knows what. But I'm hoping they find this woman and they find her quick, because this is no laughing matter. Yolanda is dangerous. And I think, maybe because she's a woman and she's like a 53-year-old woman, some people will let their guards down. But this is a cold-blooded killer. If she's capable of killing her husband, and then 25 years later, she's capable of killing her wife, she's damn sure capable of killing you. Okay? That's the reality. And I talked about this yesterday. Once someone takes a human life, they're always going to be more capable of doing it again, more capable than someone who hasn't. So Yolanda has already proven in the past for sure that she's willing and capable of doing this. It appears that she did it again. And who's to say it won't happen again? And the crazy part is all of this is happening in California. So even if they do catch Yolanda, what's going to happen? They're going to lock her up for a few years and then she's going to get out, marry someone else, and then kill them too? That's the way California works. That's how California runs right now. And if California had better leadership, then maybe, just maybe, Yolanda wouldn't be out on the streets and Rebecca would still be here. But at the end of the day, as bad as I feel for Rebecca, at the same time, it's like, hey, there was the huge red flag that this lady killed her husband. And maybe if people weren't wrapped up in the feminist narrative, defending women who kill their husbands and stuff, maybe they would realize that, hey, this is a huge red flag, and I don't want to sleep next to the woman who stabbed her husband to death. But it is what it is. I'm sure we'll be finding out more today, maybe sometime in the near future. As of right now, this woman's still on the run, though, so let me know what you think down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.